Among all the pressures a Gen Z human can face, there's only one that falls beyond the range of human endurance: the grind. That suffocating, soul-crushing exhaustion that no amount of cold brew or 8-hour TikTok scrolls can fix. It turns your dream job into a nightmare ticket, your side hustle into your main anxiety, and your peace into a distant memory. The world tells you to hustle harder, sleep less, and document it all. But what if there was an ancient, countercultural voice offering a literal escape route? Jesus himself introduces us to an unsettling yet incredibly appealing idea: a sanctuary from the spiral. I don't take the topic of burnout lightly, as I know of people who have spiraled into complete mental and physical shutdown, convinced they've failed the hustle culture check. Turns out the divine answer is a lot deeper than just take a nap. From it sprung a plethora of other questions. Can you commit to the grind so hard you burn out your soul? Does God really expect us to carry the weight of the world? Or have we missed a critical piece to the puzzle hidden in Jesus' famous, soothing words? During his earthly ministry, Jesus performed all kinds of signs and wonders, but amongst the crowds, he always saw the weary eyes and slumped shoulders of those who had carried too much for too long. Despite his own taxing schedule, healing the sick, feeding thousands, and constantly debating the Pharisees, he never seemed to be frazzled. He was the original calm in the storm. Now, among all the things he could have offered to the exhausted masses, one invitation in particular stands out. Something Jesus personally names as the antidote to a life lived on empty. The story goes that Jesus had just slammed the religious cities of the day, Chorazin and Bethsaida, for rejecting his truth. He called out their pride and their spiritual arrogance. He watched them try to earn their way to God and saw how utterly exhausted it made them. But amongst this harsh truth, a beautiful, gentle invitation emerges. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Matthew 11:28-30. This is what we're wrestling with. And I mean, how many people do you hear saying, yeah, I'm finding rest for my soul? If that's all it takes to escape the eternal grind, what is Jesus' heart behind all of this? Well, in order to find the answers we're looking for, we need to define 3 key terms that people often gloss over, especially if you're translating this into modern Gen Z anxiety. The first of those being weary and burdened. The weariness Jesus describes isn't just I need to sleep for 3 days. The Greek word for weary here, kopiao, is intense. It means to toil to the point of exhaustion, like a construction worker smashing rocks all day. The burdened, or fortizo, refers to being loaded up with a heavy load, like a pack animal completely overloaded with cargo. Sound familiar? It's the feeling of having too many tabs open in your mind, too many expectations, too many shoulds piled on your back. The Pharisees, back in the day, had burdened the people with hundreds of religious rules they had to follow to be good enough. Today, we've replaced those religious rules with unrealistic productivity standards, social media performance, and the crushing weight of personal branding. But that's only the first term. The yoke is what we must understand next. Why would Jesus offer us a new piece of farm equipment when we're already exhausted? The Son of Man is offering rest, right? So why a yoke? If you're a farmer in Jesus' time, a yoke is a wooden cross piece that connects 2 oxen so they can pull a load together. It was a symbol of submission, partnership, and work. A common rabbinic phrase was the yoke of the Torah, meaning the commitment to follow God's law. To unpack this, I think we need to ask, what exactly does Jesus' yoke do? And how is it distinct from the heavy yoke of the world? This is by no means going to be an exhaustive list, but going through its purpose gives us profound hints as to why taking his yoke is set apart as so life-giving. We're told that Jesus is gentle and humble in heart. This means the one pulling the heavy side of the load in the yoke is him. The yoke isn't just about sharing the work, it's about following his pace, his rhythm, his method. The work becomes lighter because his strength, not your meager, burnt-out energy, is driving the whole operation. We're told by Jesus himself that his yoke is easy, not easy like effortless, but well-fitting or kind, and his burden is light. And this is a very important point, and it's pretty interesting stuff. But the truth is, our understanding of this passage really hinges on the concept of rest for your souls. What does it actually mean to rest your soul? We typically associate rest with binge-watching or a vacation, but does unplugging your phone for 48 hours really mean your soul's exhaustion is now fixed? Although this is by no means bad, this isn't what soul rest actually is. To rest your soul is to stop striving for your own validation. It's to stop performing for your own worth. It's something we often see the opposite of on this channel. Diving back into the Old Testament, we all know that God sent 10 plagues upon Egypt. But throughout this process, Pharaoh was shown grace and given some respite, a bit of a break. After each one of these undeserved mercies, he hardened his heart against the Lord. 5 times in a row, Pharaoh stubbornly refused to let Israel go once the plague was lifted. He was trying to outgrind God. He refused to surrender the control, the workload, the pressure he had put on himself to be the ultimate authority. This stubbornness, this inability to let go and trust, is the ancient version of spiritual burnout. This concept raises an important and scary question. Does God force rest on people? Well, let me add another piece to the puzzle. Check out this verse from the book of Proverbs. He who is often reproved, yet stiffens his neck, will suddenly be broken beyond healing. Proverbs 29:1. Pharaoh's heart was hardened by God only after he had hardened his own heart against the truth multiple times. It seems to me that the problem here is that certain people, when they are confronted with the truth of God, the saving grace, the offer of lightness, reject it again and again and again, until they cement themselves as a person whose only function will be as a demonstration of failed self-reliance. So, what have we got so far? We know that Jesus taught about an antidote to the burden, something so gentle it cannot fail. We know that there was a distinction made between the world's heavy yoke and Jesus' easy one. And we know that continually stiffening our neck against rest leads to an inevitable, soul-destroying breakage. But one thing you're probably concerned about is this. Could you be too burnt out to take his rest? Is it possible that in a moment of existential dread, you're just too tired to come to him? My answer to this is absolutely not. The heart of the matter is your exhaustion. Jesus doesn't say, "Come to me, you who are perfectly well rested and have your life together." He says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened." The weariness is the very qualification for the invitation. Consider these promises throughout Scripture. Jesus promises that if you come, he will give you rest. He doesn't say you must earn your rest. James promises that if you draw near to God, he will draw near to you. The Spirit is working on you, not to give you more to do, but to bring you to the understanding that Jesus is Lord, which is the ultimate relief of responsibility. This is my final answer to the question, how do you get Jesus' chill vibes for your burnout? The biblical examples we have of not finding rest all seem to include a refusal to believe that surrender is better than striving. The evidence of Jesus' divinity was so overwhelming that it couldn't be denied, yet the Pharisees denied it to cling to their own power. The unforgivable spiritual burnout is rejecting the offer of rest, killing any possibility for peace and lightness at the root before it even has a chance to grow. If you're genuinely asking a question like, am I too tired for Jesus to help me? You should know that the answer is definitely not. Especially if you looked up this video, Jesus endeavors to bring you to the understanding that his way is easier. Follow him because Scripture promises that all who are led by the Spirit are sons of God, and he will lead you straight to a life where the burden is light. To reiterate, Jesus' chill vibes are a continual surrendering of your burdens to his yoke. And to summarize in a sentence, as I promised, it's a continual acceptance of the gospel message, a continual acceptance of God's saving power, Jesus' divine lordship, and the Spirit's call to stop striving for your own worth. Consider what Jesus says in the very story this whole idea comes from. In Matthew 11:28, he promises rest for your souls. I implore you, don't reject that lightness, for in doing so you become guilty of what is truly soul-crushing, the unending grind. So, if we cram all this information into one YouTube video, what do you get? Hopefully it's not a headache, but a deep breath. Hit the subscribe button and notification bell to unpack more of how Jesus' ancient wisdom solves your modern problems. Fresh new videos weekly on how Jesus says to handle everyday issues in Gen Z lives, right here at Gen Z Bible Therapy.